The High Cost of Petty Beef: Why the VDM versus King Mitchy NGO Drama is a Distraction from the $100 billion Annual Funding Gap for African Schools. First, a brief introduction to GreatWave. We are a sovereign digital platform dedicated to creating, preserving, and distributing knowledge, music, and stories. We are currently witnessing a digital civil war between personalities like Very Dark Black Men and King Mitchy, focused on NGO accountability. This is what we call the viral trap. The beef cycle involves accusations of fraud, performance of transparency, and endless reaction videos. The result is massive engagement, but zero systemic change. We watch because humans are wired for conflict. The hero versus villain narrative is much easier to digest than complex economic policy. There is an illusion of progress. We feel like we are fixing things by calling out individuals, while the structures that fail millions remain untouched. Attention is the new currency. Every hour spent on online beef is an hour lost on advocating for the $100 billion educational funding gap. Defining this gap. According to UNESCO and the African Union, Africa faces a nearly $100 billion annual financing shortfall for education. Education is in crisis. Over 100 million children in Africa are out of school, infrastructure is crumbling, and teacher shortages are at an all-time high. There is a massive infrastructure deficit. Thousands of schools lack basic electricity and clean water. Digital literacy remains a luxury, not a standard. The $100 billion is needed to achieve universal primary and secondary education by 2030 and to modernize the curriculum for the fourth industrial revolution. The current drama focuses on small-scale NGOs. However, real change requires state-level accountability and massive investment, not just NGO scrutiny. This drama acts as a distraction mechanism. Small dramas make us think NGOs are the only solution. But in reality, NGOs are just a band-aid on a massive systemic wound. We are victims of algorithmic misdirection. Social media algorithms prioritize clout over consequence. Educational crises do not trend like celebrity feuds. The cost of illiteracy is high. Lack of education leads to lower GDP growth and fuels insecurity and cycles of poverty. When comparing the stakes, the drama is about one or two potentially mismanaged NGOs. The reality is that an entire generation's potential is being throttled. The transparency we actually need is not just show the receipts for a single donation. We need to show the budget for national education spending. The call-out culture can be useful for accountability. However, it becomes toxic when it completely replaces actual civic participation. We must differentiate performance versus impact. Many online activists focus on the performance of doing good. We need to focus on the data of delivered outcomes. Imagine if the energy spent on the VDM versus Mitchy feud was instead spent on demanding education reform. We need to reclaim the narrative. Consider the global perspective. While we fight over petty beef, the rest of the world is investing heavily in AI-driven education. To fill the gap, funding sources must include domestic resource mobilization, curbing illicit financial flows out of Africa, and strong international partnerships. There is power in collective focus. When millions focus on one critical issue, governments are compelled to move. Currently, our focus is fragmented by petty squabbles. The problem isn't VDM or King Mitchy. The real problem is our collective appetite for the trivial over the essential issues. To pivot, we must limit the consumption of clout drama and actively follow and amplify educational policy experts. We should use social media tools to track government spending and policy implementation, not just influencer behavior. We are running out of time to meet the 2030 deadline for Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality education. Building sustainable systems means strengthening public institutions so that NGOs are no longer mandatory for survival. We need a new standard for accountability. Audit every institution, from the smallest NGO to the Federal Ministry of Education. Africa has the world's youngest population. This youth bulge is either a demographic dividend or a ticking time bomb, depending on our actions now. Our final call to action: stop feeding the drama and start funding the future. Thank you for watching. Let's work together to change the conversation. If you found this insightful, please like this video to help others find this content. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to see it. For further exploration of this important topic, please find relevant resources linked below.
Family, if this message moved you, don't scroll past it. Like, share, and subscribe to GreatWave. Let's build our story together.